Okay, so I had an interesting comment on one of my previous videos that I made. The previous video was talking about relationships and people and what makes a good friend. And I had mentioned how your gut feeling or your gut reaction to somebody can often indicate what your relationship might be like with that person. And if you look back on your relationship over time, in that arc, and then you look at that initial gut reaction you had, it can often match up with how that relationship turned out. So someone posted this interesting comment on that video. That someone is Toilet Paper Eater 6969. Thank you for this comment. Do you think that you fixating yourself on your gut impression makes you shape that person's behavior in a way that he starts being that gut impression to you? So how I understand this question, hopefully I'm getting this correct, is do you think that your gut impression of someone affects that relationship with that person in a way that you end up projecting onto that person what you think they're going to be like? Thus you're kind of confining them to behaving like the gut impression you have. Hopefully I articulated that correctly. And I thought it was actually kind of an interesting question because you're essentially saying if I have this feeling about somebody, if I feel like I have a good feeling about them, then I'm going to have behavior that promotes a good relationship. But if I have a bad feeling about them, that I'm going to promote behavior that kind of confines them to be them being someone I don't trust and I don't like, and that's not going to change anything. So are we almost predetermining our relationships with other people based on our gut feeling? Honestly, I think it's a really good question. Maybe we are. You know, there's sometimes where you meet someone and you know you have a feeling that maybe it's neutral, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. But if you're suspicious of them right off the start, maybe you are suddenly looking for reasons to confirm that suspicion, like a confirmation bias. You know, it could be the case that sometimes it is the case that sometimes our judgments of other people are incorrect. I'm not saying that every judgment I've made of a person was correct. There is value to seeing out that arc of an individual. In other words, giving someone a little bit of time for you to get to know them before you really decide, is this person a good fit for me or not? You know, we can make those snap judgments. And there's a utility to doing that. You know, it's something we have as a system to protect ourselves. We make first impressions of people. We have first impressions of people, and we use that as information to filter people into whether I should trust this person. Do I like this person? Do I want to be around them? Are they someone I might want in my life? Or are they somebody I want to stay away from? So what I think this person is getting at is, are we basically writing the story with our gut before allowing the story to unfold naturally? Are we making a judgment too soon before we really know the real facts of, is this person a good fit? There's value to both the first impression and giving someone a bit of time to figure out if they are right for you or not. Sometimes you don't have that opportunity to take extra time. Sometimes you have to take that snap judgment and run with it. Sometimes people can change our first impressions. I've met people that my first judgment of them was completely incorrect. I remember I met this person and I really thought he seemed like the most boring individual I've ever seen. I just didn't think like, oh, I'm not going to be friends with this guy. And I was so wrong about that individual. He ended up being one of the most interesting people I had ever ended up becoming friends with. We ended up talking about philosophy and life and so many different interesting subjects. And that sat with me, that never left me, that I know that first impressions can be wrong. Your gut is a tool. It's not always correct. Sometimes you can listen to your gut and you can be wrong. Though I do think there's value in thinking about situations where something went wrong, or maybe something went right. And you think about how did your gut feel when you first met that person or you first encountered this situation? Was your gut right? Was it wrong? And if you get to this conclusion where it seems that most times that your gut is landing on some sort of truth, then it's probably not a bad idea to follow it. Especially when it comes to a situation where you feel like you're unsafe. If you feel like you're unsafe, you probably need to get out of there. Your gut's probably telling you a reason why. But it can still be wrong at times too. So kind of have to take both into consideration. So yeah, thank you, Toilet Paper Eater 6969, for that really insightful question. I really liked thinking about that.